Hi folks, my name's Jem, I'm the Crazy Pigeon Lady, and it's my mission to entertain, educate and inspire you with all things pigeon and dove. This month's Pigeocation, in honour of Valentine's Day, the day of love, is all about dove love. Why love, and what's the association with pigeons and doves? Well, pigeons and doves are monogamous and they mate for life, and therefore they've been a long-standing symbol of fidelity in love. And white doves in particular have long been revered as a symbol of purity, chastity, fertility and love, as well as peace. So I thought it would be a great opportunity in this month where we celebrate our love to talk about doves. And no discussion of doves would be complete without talking about the difference between a pigeon and a dove. And check out my Fun Fact Friday playlist, where there is an episode specifically about the difference between a pigeon and a dove. But in summary, there is no ornithological difference between a pigeon and a dove, and that difference largely exists or is perceived to exist because of the evolution of the English language. Whilst doves tends to refer to the smaller, daintier columbid species, this is by no means consistent. This video, however, is specifically talking about the symbolic white dove, as opposed to any particular species that is commonly referred to as a dove. So let's talk about the white dove. Well, there is no pigeon or dove species that is pure white naturally. In fact, most pure white animals occur in environments where there is a lot of snow and ice, where having a pure white coating allows them to be camouflaged. Animals that are pure white unnaturally in other environments actually are more vulnerable to predators. Now, whilst there are no naturally occurring in their normal coloration pigeons and doves, white pigeons and doves that are perhaps albino or leucistic would occur from time to time, but would be very, very rare indeed. Therefore, the pure white birds that are pigeons or doves that you see are generally as a result of breeding by man, by domestication. Now, there are a couple of species of pigeons and doves which have been domesticated either partially or fully by man, and that's the Barbary dove, also known as the ring dove or the collar dove. Those have been partially domesticated as cage birds and are bred in pure white colour. And then, of course, the rock dove, Columba livia, which I talk about a lot on this channel, which has been domesticated by man by thousands of years, and have been, as a result of selective breeding, occur in a pure white colour. So, newsflash. The common pigeon, the common rock dove, the ancestor of all feral and domestic pigeons, is in fact both a dove and a pigeon, and if it's pure white, it's often referred to as a dove, but it is just in fact the common pigeon, and most people don't even realise that. So why is it that the pure white dove is revered and respected, and yet the plain grey common rock pigeon is reviled? And yet they are the same bird. So let's talk about why the dove, the white dove as a symbol, is revered. Well, pigeons and doves in general are non-gallinaceous. That means they have no gallbladder. They have no gall, no bile. And in the medieval theory of the four humours, this would lead to the interpretation of the doves of having a sweet, gentle disposition because they have no bile, they have no gall, and therefore they were associated with sweetness and gentleness and innocence. Also, because of the monogamy and the prolific breeding of pigeons and doves, they have, as I mentioned earlier, the association with love and fidelity and fecundity and fertility in breeding. In fact, they were often, because of these associations with fertility and sweetness and innocence and purity, they were often pictured in images of portraits of women holding doves as a symbol to represent their own purity, innocence, and perhaps even their own fertility. They also have religious significance in different faiths, including Islam, Judaism, Christianity, where they have various different representations as messengers. In Christianity in particular, the white dove represents the Holy Spirit. And of course, in the story of Noah and the ark, it was a white dove that brought the olive branch, indicating that the flood waters had receded, and perhaps was even a homing pigeon because he was able to return to the ark from such a distance. The colour white, of course, has had a long association with purity, for being clean and unblemished, and in Latin we have the word candida, meaning white, which is where we get the word candid from, which is to be plain speaking and unembellished. Also throughout history, the dove has been a symbol of peace in different cultures, particularly in Christianity, but was popularised as a modern symbol of peace after Pablo Picasso's image La Colombe, the dove, the pigeon, was used for the 1949 Peace Congress. Doves, of course, are also used ceremonially at things like funerals or weddings or memorial services. And there are a number of problems with the use of these doves. First of all, some people who provide release doves as a service actually use real doves, in the sense that they use a species that is not the rock pigeon. These birds have no homing instincts whatsoever, and as soon as they are released are extremely vulnerable to predators and are unlikely to survive. Those which are a little more knowledgeable about the trade tend to use trained white racing pigeons, and once they are released would return to a home loft. However, that being said, as I mentioned earlier, because they are pure white birds, it does make them very, very visible and a target for predators, and because they haven't grown up and lived in the wild environment, they've only existed in a loft being fed by humans, they don't have a lot in the way of natural survival and foraging instincts. So whilst it is very beautiful to see this flight of white doves being released, it's very important to remember that those birds don't have a guaranteed chance of making it home, and therefore I would encourage you to think very, very carefully, if you were considering using these birds for any sort of release ceremony, about the implications for those birds of doing that. So, in conclusion, the white dove doesn't in fact exist in nature, but is a product of selective breeding by humans. And unlike true dove species, the white dove is simply a rock pigeon that's been selectively bred for its colour and has symbolic associations. So, next time you see the humble grey rock pigeon in the street, remember that it's also, in its heart, a dove. Thanks very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell so that you can be the next to hear about my next Crazy Pigeon Lady video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.